and T.I. was a rat.
Well, yeah. Man, everybody knows.
In the federal guidelines, where you can have 10 machine guns and get 1 year of community service and 1 year incarcerated.
I think he went up there and just got to talking.
In hip-hop, one of the toughest lines you can cross is being accused of snitching. The culture treats that label like a career killer, and once it sticks, artists tend to lose trust, respect, and even collaborations in a heartbeat. That's the cloud that has followed Clifford Joseph Harris Jr., known worldwide as T.I. Even with multiple Grammy wins and a huge impact on the Southern rap scene in the 2000s, this rumor has chased him for years. Some artists have publicly questioned him, even though T.I. has repeatedly denied ever cooperating in any improper way with authorities. The debate refuses to die down, and the community keeps asking why the story spreads so fast.
People that they had no access to, and they just imagine.
Right.
And this way it work out in their mind. So I can't allow their fantasy to become my reality.
T.I. has dealt with several legal issues over the years, involving drug-related and weapon-related charges, which were all documented in public records. But one situation in particular became the center of the accusations thrown at him by others. This moment happened back in 2007, right before he was set to hit the stage at the BET Hip Hop Awards in Atlanta, and it sparked endless conversations online and in the streets. Here's how everything started. Just a few hours before his big performance, the FBI rolled in with local police and shut everything down. They arrested T.I. on the spot, claiming he had 12 machine-style firearms, with 2 fitted with silencers. For anyone with a prior felony, getting caught with even one weapon is a serious legal hit, so a dozen had everyone stunned, and people on the outside were already asking how he was ever going to walk away from this situation without serving a long stretch behind bars. On October 26, 2007, T.I. stepped out of the U.S. District Court in Atlanta after appearing before U.S. Magistrate Judge Alan J. Berman. He secured his release by posting a massive $3 million bond. That's $2 million in cash plus equity tied to his property. The restrictions were intense. He had to stay inside his home unless it involved medical needs or court dates, and only his partner and his kids were allowed to live with him. Anyone else who wanted to visit needed official approval from the court. His suppression hearing was locked in for February 19, 2008. T.I. later pled guilty to federal weapon charges, leading to an indefinite prison term, a year of house arrest, and 1,500 hours of community service. When MTV asked him about doing time, he explained that while he was inside, he planned to stay sharp and focus on mapping out his return to the industry. He wasn't about to waste the time handed to him. Then, on March 27, 2009, U.S. District Judge Charles A. Panel Jr. officially sentenced him to a year and 1 day in prison, along with $100,300 in fines. Through a plea deal, he cut his potential punishment down from a possible 10-year sentence and a $250,000 fine, which had people raising eyebrows and whispering questions. Plenty of artists pointed out how unusual it looked. For example, Lil Wayne caught with just a single pistol in New York and still had to serve a full year in behind bars. That comparison made a lot of folks wonder what exactly happened behind closed doors. Sure, New York's firearms laws hit way harder than Atlanta's, but fans still couldn't ignore how shocking it looked for T.I. to be connected to 12 machine-style weapons and end up with just a 1-year sentence. For someone with a prior felony, that outcome sounded unbelievable to many. Even with top-tier lawyers and serious money, the whole situation felt almost impossible to pull off without some kind of major break in his favor. That's why a lot of folks in the hip-hop scene started claiming he must have given information to authorities to get a lighter deal. Several artists threw those accusations around, including 50 Cent, which sparked tension between them. Things heated up after 50 seemed to reference the situation on Gang Unit's second album, TOS, Terminate on Sight. There's a track on the album called You So Tough, where 50 drops subtle shots, not naming anyone, which is surprising because he usually calls people out directly. The lines sounded like they were aimed at T.I., and fans quickly connected the dots. In the verse, 50 raps, "What's today's mathematics-ish? Ain't adding up. Get knocked with 10 machine guns, only get 12 months. Or we don't talk to me, you talking to him, you talking to them. I got the best lawyers money can buy. They said they would have got me 10 or maybe 9. I said, how do you explain how homie breathes? They said, keep your mouth shut or you eating the cheese." Once that verse hit the streets, the speculation exploded. People thought 50 was gearing up for a full-blown clash with T.I. MTV even asked 50 about the situation, and he kept his cool, saying that when he targets another artist, he's always direct. He claimed he was simply asking a question, letting the public decide whether they believe the verse was aimed at T.I.
When have you known me to be indirect with an issue?
Oh, you're pretty direct.
Right, so if I had a problem with any artist, trust me, they would know.
Like two.
Yeah.
Is that line about T.I.?
Absolutely for the public to decide.
T.I. eventually spoke on the situation in his own interview, but he brushed it off with ease, and honestly, it made sense at the time. Law enforcement was watching him closely, monitoring everything he did, so jumping into a public class with another rapper would have been the worst move he could make while dealing with strict legal conditions.
Conclusion. And when I heard him speaking on it, he said he wasn't talking about me, you know what I'm saying? And me and 50 always had a decent rapport, you know. It wasn't never nothing negative. So he's never had a problem with saying people's names when he's speaking on them. And like that's not like 50. If he going at somebody, he usually say their name and make it known. It's usually not ever whether or not.
And that's pretty much where the tension stopped. Nothing major came from it. And surprisingly, the two even ended up working together later on. They hopped on tracks, showed mutual respect, and for a while, everything looked smooth between them. Then 2020 rolled around, and T.I. brought the energy back by calling out 50 Cent for a friendly 20-track battle on Instagram Live through the Verzuz platform. For anyone who doesn't know, Verzuz blew up during quarantine as a space where artists and producers could go head-to-head, showcasing their catalogs in real time. It wasn't about beef, just music, history, and bragging rights. So during 50's birthday week, T.I. decided to shake things up by challenging him to a 420-song showdown on Instagram. He talked about wanting to compare catalogs and see who really had the stronger lineup. T.I. even joked that since Kanye West had outsold 50 in their famous release day matchup, maybe 50 wouldn't be too eager to accept the challenge.
For your birthday, I offer you a challenge, sir. Pull your ass up, man, with 20 of your records, man. You know what I'm saying? But I understand if you don't want to answer to that challenge, because last time you got challenged, Kanye West dusted your ass off. So, you might not want to do that. So, well, guess who ain't scared of your ass, 50?
At first, fans thought T.I. was just playing around, but the situation escalated fast. After dropping the first video, T.I. doubled down with a second clip, this time on the phone with Kevin Hart, who happens to share the same birthday as 50.
Please tell 50 bring his on out here and get this smoke. Oh, Jesus. Please tell 50 Cent get his hit records and come on and sit down.
Things were getting louder, funnier, and way more entertaining. Naturally, T.I.'s comments went viral, and 50 jumped in by reposting one of the articles with the caption, "Yo, somebody passed T.I. the weed they gave Smokey and Friday, LOL." That jab lit things up instantly. T.I. wasn't about to let that slide. He fired back with another Instagram video, claiming 50 saw the challenge but didn't want to accept it.
And he acknowledged that he received a message. He ain't said nothing about accepting that challenge, though. All the comment talking about, oh man, 50 gon' do it. Man, I mean, y'all scared of that, not me. Talking about what 50 gon' goddamn do. Man, shut your scare up, get out the way, and let me handle this.
The energy was getting louder by the minute.
By the next morning, T.I. kept the pressure on with more videos, explaining that he had even tried to fly out to 50's birthday celebration to show love and talk face-to-face. But one of T.I.'s close friends called him and warned that it might not be smart because Tony Yayo supposedly had an issue with him. That pushed T.I. and his homie to hop on Instagram Live together and talk through the whole situation for everyone to hear.
Man, where you was at last night?
In Brooklyn. In
Brooklyn doing what?
Doing 50 Cent party, had a great time. Told me on the way, you got the jet already gassed up. Said don't come.
Yeah.
I said don't come.
What you say?
I said don't come.
Say what?
Boy, when I tell you that boy Yayo, he either got a real problem some type of way, man. You ask me, he got some type of problem.
Tony Yayo didn't stay silent. He jumped straight into the comments and accused T.I. of chasing attention. That's when everything took a more personal turn. The next morning, 50 hit Twitter and posted a throwback clip of T.I. appearing on Crime Stoppers back in 2008. In the video, T.I. is part of an Atlanta news segment asking the public to report crimes, something critics tried to twist into a snitching moment. 50 captioned it, "Why you make me do this? This the first song I'ma play, You So Tough." T.I. saw the post and was clearly not happy. He reposted the clip on his own Instagram with a long, heated caption, taking 50's move as confirmation that the battle challenge was officially on. He wrote that they got him, saying 50 finally took the bait and now was time to set up the catalog face-off so he could shut down all the jokes once and for all. T.I. added that Crime Stoppers' clip was old, outdated, and in poor taste, comparing it to what he called 50's outdated catalog. But the most important part of his message came next. T.I. stated clearly and firmly that he has never given any information to law enforcement to get anyone in trouble for any crime at any point in his life. He even said that Supreme told me to ask 50 Cent if he can say the same. The drama was officially in full swing. T.I. wrapped up his message by saying, "Well, that's all I have to say about that. So let's set this date and pick your songs off that one hot album you got, and let's lay your little overrated, outdated, steroid-inflated catalog to rest. R.I.P. to 50 Cent's catalog." He added that 50 had been bullying New York artists for years, but he wasn't going to let that happen to him. The confidence was loud. But even with all the back and forth and the non-stop tension, one thing has remained true. No verified evidence has ever surfaced proving T.I. snitched on anyone. The accusations kept floating around the culture, but nothing solid ever backed them up. In fact, T.I. has repeatedly spoken out against snitching, and his actions matched his words. One major example was when he removed an artist from his Grand Hustle label after learning the rapper had cooperated with federal agents. Alphamega, who signed with T.I. in the mid-2000s, came into the camp with a tough reputation, and T.I. even featured him on the 2007 track Hurt with Busta Rhymes. But things changed fast once the truth came out. In 2009, The Smoking Gun published documents showing Alphamega had worked with law enforcement after receiving a 110-month federal sentence for weapon-related charges back in 1995. Once that info hit the public, T.I. wasted no time. He removed Alphamega from Grand Hustle immediately. T.I. explained his decision during an interview on Atlanta's Hot 109.9, saying, "Even though all our artists and employees are asked by us to be honest and open about their past history, at no time did Alphamega disclose to me or Grand Hustle what has now appeared in the media. He essentially deceived us by failing to fully disclose the truth about his past, and there is no place in our organization for dishonest and misleading behavior." He went on to say that people must take responsibility for their own actions, and Grand Hustle could never support blaming others for personal mistakes. T.I. added that he wished Alphamega well and hoped everything worked out for him, but he didn't see himself or his company being involved in Alphamega's business again. However, T.I. later created a huge wave online when an old clip resurfaced where he talked about putting a past gun case on his late cousin to avoid jail time. The video came from an August 2020 episode of his Expeditiously podcast, where he shared a story from the early 2000s, before his music career fully took off. In the clip, he explained that he and his cousin Toot were running a hustle in Atlanta involving stolen high-end clothes when police stopped him and found a firearm in T.I.'s possession. T.I. described the moment saying, "We were in the Lenox Mall parking lot unloading a truck full of stolen items while talking to a buyer. He remembered someone staring at everything and getting impatient and saying, 'What you want? Get this shish and go.' That's when mall security rolled up on him. T.I. and Toot jumped back in the car and tried to leave, but security followed and notified the police. Before they could reach the expressway, real officers pulled him over, and that's when T.I. ended up caught with the firearm. Toot, who introduced T.I. to DJ Toomp, the producer behind tracks like What You Know, 24's and You Don't Know Me, was still alive during the case, but he later passed away. T.I. said that after Toot died, his lawyer gave him an option that would keep him from serving time, claimed the gun belonged to Toot. According to T.I., his cousin had given him his blessing before passing, telling him he'd take the charges if it meant T.I. could move forward in life. T.I. said, "We caught those gun cases, Toot died. My lawyer said, well, you know, I could make everything go away if it was Toot's, if it was Tremel. After he had passed, I had to talk to him. Toot said, I'll take all the charges you got if you can walk away free. Put it on me, God, right? Because I'm not being extradited from here."
If it was Tremel's, and I had a talk with Toot.
And what Toot said?
Posthumously?
Yeah. After he had passed, I had a talk with him.
And what Toot say? The clip caused a massive debate online with people arguing over whether this counted as snitching, even though the situation involved a deceased relative who, according to T.I., had given permission. The conversation exploded instantly, and the controversy reignited everywhere. When gun rights activist Nikki Daniels Jr., a guest on the podcast, asked T.I. if this story was the reason people started calling him a snitch, he shut it down immediately. He said, "Hell nah, don't nobody know about that. I just volunteered this information. That's the only time I done ever said or gave information because that's my big cousin. He was dead and he told me that it was okay." T.I. made it clear he didn't believe the controversy came from that situation at all. As mentioned earlier, T.I. had multiple encounters with the law throughout his early life, He started getting involved in street activity as a teen, and by age 14, he had already faced several arrests. Public records show that his legal troubles began young and continued into adulthood under various charges.
In March 2004, a warrant was issued for T.I.'s arrest after he violated his probation from a 1997 drug conviction and a 1998 controlled substance conviction, as well as a charge for giving false information. He received a 3-year prison sentence and was held in Cobb County, Georgia, where he even managed to film an unauthorized music video behind bars, something that shocked officials when they discovered it. By May 2004, he was released on probation, but things didn't calm down. Over the next couple of years, he was hit with multiple probation violations across different Georgia counties for offenses that included possession of a firearm and possession of marijuana in 2006. Then on May 10th, he appeared in an Atlanta courtroom for a separate incident involving allegations that he threatened someone outside a club the previous year. Those charges were eventually dropped because there wasn't enough evidence to move forward. T.I.'s legal history was long and complicated, and every new headline added more noise to the public conversation around him. Harris was eventually arrested again because of an outstanding probation violation warrant from Florida. Officials claimed he didn't finish the required community service hours he owed for a 2003 battery case involving a female sheriff's deputy at University Mall in Tampa. Back then, mall security had detained him during the incident before law enforcement stepped in. According to Atlanta's WSB-TV, T.I.'s attorney said the whole situation was basically a technical mix-up between Georgia and Florida. The confusion came from the fact that T.I. had also been sentenced to community service in Georgia for driving with a suspended license, and he did complete 75 hours of service in his home state. Because of the overlapping orders, the records didn't line up properly. T.I. was released on bail shortly after the arrest and planned to turn himself in to Florida authorities the next week to clear everything up. Then came another major moment. On September 1st, 2010, T.I. and his wife Toni were arrested on drug charges. This incident triggered a massive issue with his probation. On October 15, 2010, he was sentenced to 11 months in federal prison for violating probation, specifically for possessing a controlled substance, testing positive for opiates, and associating with a convicted felon, identified as his associate C-Rod. Just 10 days later, on October 25th, the drug charges themselves were dropped, but the probation violation stuck. On November 1st, T.I. reported back to the Forest City Federal Facility to begin serving his 11-month sentence. His expected release date was set for September 29, 2011. On August 31, 2011, he was released early at 7:29 a.m. and transferred to a community living facility to finish the remainder of his sentence. But only 48 hours later, he was sent back into federal custody. The issue? A dispute over T.I. traveling from the Arkansas prison to the halfway house in Atlanta on a luxury bus, which officials said wasn't cleared properly. His attorney, Stephen Sado, told the Associated Press that the whole situation had nothing to do with substances or any new charges. The Federal Bureau of Prisons simply reassigned him to another facility after the misunderstanding. Eventually, T.I. was released again and returned to the halfway house, finally completing his sentence on September 29th at midnight. Then in April 30th, 2014, another headline popped up when T.I. and the Compton rapper The Game got into a loud verbal standoff with LAPD officers outside a Los Angeles nightclub. According to Billboard, the conflict was believed to be sparked by concerns about how officers were treating a group of bystanders who were standing near the venue. The situation escalated fast but remained a verbal confrontation, drawing a huge crowd and plenty of attention online. TMZ later leaked footage showing T.I. and The Game outside a LA club after being pushed out by security and LAPD officers during an investigation involving drug and gambling activity tied to the venue. The place was jokingly nicknamed the Supercut Club or Supper Club, and because of the ongoing investigation, security refused to let either artist back inside to avoid triggering more legal trouble. T.I. and The Game stood back while tensions rose, and T.I. shouted, "Y'all got a lot of people beat up. We got good lawyers." Things escalated fast when one bystander was suddenly ordered to lie on the ground with his hands over his head, and security attempted to force him up by kicking at him, while another guard yelled, "He goes to jail tonight." Rumors began spreading that T.I. and The Game were arrested for simple assault on an officer and disturbing the peace, but those claims were later denied by LAPD officials, and both artists were released without charges. In August 2015, T.I. faced another issue when the IRS filed liens totaling over $4.5 million for unpaid taxes from 2012 and 2013. Then on May 16, 2018, Harris was arrested outside his gated community in Henry County, Georgia on misdemeanor charges of disorderly conduct and public intoxication after a guard allegedly refused to let him in without a key. He posted bond and was released later that day. By September 2020, T.I. was charged by the SEC for his role in 2 fraudulent initial coin offerings, which added yet another layer to his growing legal list. Then in January 2021, Sabrina Pedersen, who had been connected to T.I. and his family, claimed on social media that T.I. once pointed a firearm at her during a dispute in 2009 and threatened her. After her post went viral, numerous additional allegations of misconduct surfaced online involving T.I., Tiny, and members of their circle. By March 2021, over 30 individuals, including at least one man, came forward with accusations involving forced drug use and intimidation in states like Georgia and California, with claims dating back as far as 2005. Some accusers said they were pressured or allegedly given substances right before or upon entering homes, hotel rooms, or tour buses, which they said impaired their ability to give meaningful consent. In response, T.I. released a video in January 2021 denying the claims and stating that all his personal encounters were consensual. Following the controversy, production of T.I. and Tiny Family and Friends Hustle was suspended. Then in January 2021, new allegations emerged when T.I. and Tiny were sued again, this time involving claims of an incident in a Los Angeles hotel room in 2005. According to Variety, the plaintiff, who was in her early 20s and serving in the U.S. Air Force at the time, said she was introduced to the couple by an associate named Caviar after meeting her at the home of the late rapper Coolio the night before. With everything piled up, from old allegations to new lawsuits, financial troubles, legal battles, and public backlash, it's clear that T.I. has far more on his plate than just the long-running snitching accusations. His reputation has taken hit after hit, and repairing it will take serious time and transparency.